This episode is one of 6 podcast episodes dedicated in loving memory of my late father, Iman Siwanda, a father, a teacher, an inspiration, and a legend. Rest in eternal peace, big man. Love and miss you always. P.O.T.N forever.
Yeah, you know, it's your boy. Yeah. Alright, listen. I started out on the pavement. Bet you thought I wouldn't make it. Wondering why you ain't did it? Cause you only working that day shift. Yeah, success is contagious. We're winners on regular basis. A lot of y'all getting mad, huh? Like how we do it from the basement. I ain't been getting no sleep. Lately I'm playing for keeps. Lately I'm out on these streets. Been talking to God.
And welcome back to another episode of the P.O.T.N podcast, a podcast dedicated to all people, motivating all of you listeners to go that one step further in your lives. I am your host, Takura, and today I am joined by a longtime friend and an upcoming doctor in his own right. I'd like to introduce you to a longtime friend of mine. We went to high school together. He was a lot smarter than me and still is a lot smarter than me. I'd like to introduce you all to George. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Takura. It's an honor to be here. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, man. And welcome to the show. And just to ask, like, is this your first ever podcast, or have you done previous podcasts before?
Well, I have done one in my head, but this is the first real one. So
I love that, man. I love that.
I am very chuffed to be here. Honestly, man, it's a good thing that you've started. Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, let's jump straight into it, bro. And welcome as well, man. I'm looking to always bring you back for future episodes. So looking forward to having you back on the P.O.T.N podcast.
Yeah, just say the word, brother, and I will be there.
Will do, man. And we'll jump straight into it. And I'm pretty sure our listeners are curious to know about yourself as well. Like, can you tell our listeners like where you're from, what you're currently doing, and what you get up to in your free time?
All right, so my name is George, as you've already said, and I was born in a small town called Rishavane 25 years ago, and I've just finished med school. So yeah, that was crazy, but we made it. And what I love to do in my free time, I just love to chill, man. Like, just kick back, do nothing, play some FIFA, football when I'm fit, yeah, and watching movies. And that's about it. That's what I get into.
Absolutely, man. And congratulations obviously on finishing med school as well, man. That is no easy task. And obviously actually current doctor, man. You obviously you just need to get into it. But obviously officially a doctor now. And obviously doctor, not doctor like PhD, but doctor, man, like healthcare doctor. So hey, congratulations, man. That's a big task. And obviously like on the side, the fact that you like to take a step back and chill, like I can understand, from a medical professional's perspective, you've got an intense, what you go through is obviously it's an intense study, intense practices and all that. So it's always good to relax, gather your thoughts and, enjoy quality time with people around you as well.
No, yeah, definitely. It's always good to kick back and relax, man.
Absolutely, man. And I guess as well, would you like telling our listeners where you've done med school, or where you've completed your studies in medicine?
So I've been studying in China at Zhejiang University since 2014, and I recently graduated in June of 2020. Yeah, so it's a good school. It has its good and bad, but we just like to stay positive. Look at the bright side always. So yeah, that's where we've been in Hangzhou.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. And I agree with that. Like, and obviously shout out to you and everyone else who's studying medicine and all the way from China as well. Here on the P.O.T.N podcast, we are global, we are international, and we do sit down with the very best minds from around the world as well. So obviously, thank you for coming onto the show. So we'll move on to the next question, right? And, this one, obviously, we're going to add into it and obviously add some energy in there. Would you like to tell our listeners what your passions are and what you love most about them?
I guess the things which really come to mind right off the bat would be football. really, because I'm crazy about my football, man. Whether I'm watching, whether I'm playing an actual game like FIFA, you know what I mean? I just love it. You know, the whole atmosphere it brings and the vibes and the people you're watching with, you know, the excitement, all of that. And then the other thing is, I just like to help people. You know, whenever I can, no matter how small or insignificant it might seem, I actually enjoy helping people. And the fact that now I'm a doctor, you know, hopefully I get to help a lot more people, you know, get better with whatever ailments they may be having, you know. So that's about it.
Absolutely, man. And that's really, really inspiring as well, man. Like, I could also definitely relate to you on the football piece. Obviously, still getting used to closed doors approach, obviously, with football. And it feels a bit like it's out of the norm, but, we appreciate the fact that, we get to watch it, we get to play it. And hopefully, as well, I'm looking to start a team. So, definitely you would be a recruit. We'll see where we can take that.
I'd love that. And just to add, Chelsea is going to beat Man City next season, both home and away. Just to put it out there. But let's move on. Unless you buy Messi.
Oh yeah, I understand. Unless we get messy, but at the same time, I think the beauty about the Premier League is the competitiveness, and a team could have vast riches.
So unpredictable.
Yeah, it's unpredictable. Like a team that's just got promoted, Leeds could go and knock off Chelsea and City in games, and
And Leicester have done it before, so it wouldn't be surprising.
exactly, bro. And obviously for the listeners listening, and obviously if they haven't heard in previous episodes before, I do also support, like, I support Manchester City. I know some people may not like that, but we've come a long way from that. If you remember from high school days, the guys were like, glory hunter this, glory hunter that, but fam, man's been there.
With your no bed sheets. I remember that. I just need to let the listeners know. Continue.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And I think as well, like for me, man, I've been gracious enough and fortunate to actually go and watch them live. Some games we've lost, some games we've won. But just going to the stadium, man, I'm pretty sure if you ever get a chance to come and see and witness Stamford Bridge, you will love it as well, bro. Because it's a whole new atmosphere. It's a whole new atmosphere when you're watching it live. I'm telling you.
Definitely. It's definitely on my bucket list.
Yeah, man. We'll get it ticked off 100%, man, 100%. So, and on the second part, man, I appreciate obviously you're coming from a good place as well, and you studied medicine. Obviously, you want to use that to help and better and look after people, and that's really, really obviously important. And kudos to you for being patient, also going through the strides and getting to the end. And obviously now you're qualified. Congrats again. So
Thank you. Thank you.
we're looking forward to hearing all the wonderful things you end up doing, obviously in the healthcare sector, and how you volunteer and help other people outside of your profession as well.
Oh yeah, fingers crossed. Definitely.
Fingers crossed, man, and touch wood. So, we'll move on to the next question, bro. And obviously this one it's a personal one, and it'll pull at the heartstrings a little bit. But who would you say has inspired you and made a positive impact on you?
Ooh. So I wouldn't say it's just one person because a lot of people have played a part in molding me into the person I am today. And it's really the women in my life. I'm really inspired by the women in my life, you know, from mother to aunts, you know, to just friends or whoever. Like, it's just crazy, you know, when you take a step back and then you start to analyze how they do certain things, how they're such hard workers, you know, and even when things are hard, you know, they always try to make the most of it. You know, they always want to provide for the family. They're full of life. It's just amazing to me, and hopefully I wish I end up like that, you know, later on in my life, to be able to help and inspire other people the way I have been inspired. So yeah.
Absolutely, and I'm pretty sure you've taken strides in that as well, man. Because I think one thing I've noticed from you as well, personally, is the fact that you started 6 years ago now. I think, yeah, 6 years if my maths is right, and you've studied medicine, and now you understand, you're more and you're qualified and you're competent to actually go into. Obviously, you need experience, and you get the practice as you get like
Like those, yeah.
Yeah, but the fact that you've managed to do that for study medicine for 6 years and get through to the end, that's commendable, bro. That's inspirational because a lot of people may look at it and think, oh, it's a lot of work, they can't do it. But, you are a prime example of you've gone through it and you've done it for 6 years. And, anything is possible if you can stick to it and believe in yourself.
True, that's true. It's not easy, but it can be done. That's the message. Yeah, definitely.
Exactly, man. Exactly. So, with that, man, and building on from your previous answer, obviously, you've been shout out to your mom and all the aunties and all the ladies in your life who've made a positive impact.
Yeah, shout out. I'm very right on, brother.
Shout out to them, man. Hopefully, they get to hear this. We do have listeners in Zimbabwe, so you can feel free to share your episode with them when it becomes available as well. Well, okay, so we'll move on, man. And this question as well, it's linked into the previous question. So, can you tell our listeners, right, an experience you've gone through that has shown you that positivity still exists in the world and in people?
Oh wait, before I answer that, I have a question for you. Who's your inspiration? Yeah.
For me, I've got a number of inspirations, bro. It's like from a personal perspective, obviously, I've got my parents and my siblings, my little brother and my sister. I think of my parents was growing up in the Miz in Zimbabwe, with the struggles that the country was going through, and the fact that they managed to stay determined and confident and look after myself and my other siblings and care for us. That's really, really inspirational. And they were always saying never give up, and that's really, really stuck with me. And I would also say like my uncle, a shout out to Big Man Sherman. Like he's a really positive guy. He knows that obviously there's adversity, but it's about working through that adversity and coming up with solutions and overcoming challenges. And then obviously from I think a career perspective, I would say I was really inspired by the likes of Grant Cardone, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos.
Some heavy hitters right there.
Man, there's a big hit. Yeah, I think like from their perspective as well, man. These guys, their work ethic is next to none, man. That's crazy how much like they talk about putting in the graft and all that stuff. And also, I think the likes of Stormzy, Heady One, their music, but they're doing their bit, man. They're consistent with production of music, and that takes a lot, man. That takes a lot. I think I forgot the other personal inspiration I have. There's a guy called Daniel Nuri, who's the brand owner of Erna Delore. There's my friend Talal, who's also the musician. His music is actually the music for this podcast as well, so it's quite inspirational. And I think the last one you'll probably be familiar with in terms of fictional characters that have inspired me, but Harvey Specter from Suits. Like that guy, man, that guy is a savage. He was, it's his hardcore determination and the way he carried himself. And, it wasn't in an arrogant way, right? But, he always carried himself in a way that if something goes wrong, you'll find a way to make sure he gets it right in the end. And that for me, man, that's insane. Those are some of my inspirations. Also, there are others, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. Just wait, do you want me to repeat the question again or?
No. I hear you. It's quite a list.
So, can you tell obviously, George, like from what you've said before, obviously, from all the inspirations you mentioned, obviously, shout out to your mom, your aunts, and all the women who've inspired you. Can you tell our listeners, right, an experience you've gone through, right, that has shown you that positivity still exists in the world and in people?
Alright, so the one which really sticks out is when I applied for a program which I did not have, the credentials for, at the time. The thing is, I really wanted to get in, so I had to email the people and then basically talk to them and tell them like, yo, I don't have, the credentials that you guys are looking for right now. I will get them, but I was asking them if they could basically take a chance on me, you know what I mean? And it worked, you see. I was very chuffed, even up to this day. I'm still amazed, that they made the exception. They were very quick about it and they just told me, you just keep doing your thing. And then when the time comes, you just come on right through. And that for me was amazing because, normally when you try to apply for something and then your qualifications are not just there yet, they'll be like, nah, you don't meet the requirements. They won't even look at your application twice, for example. But I'm just happy that they were, willing to take a chance on me, and obviously things work out in the end, and I'm just ready, I'm ready to go. You know what I mean? So,
Absolutely, man, and we're grateful for. Yeah, go on. You were going to say?
Yeah, I was saying, so I'm just grateful, that it all worked out in the end, and it was just nice. It was just nice to see that people are still, trying to uplift other people, even though they may not yet be that qualified at the moment. So that was really touching for me. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. And I agree with you. Obviously, shout out to them, for giving you that, because at the end of the day, that's what we need. We need a chance to obviously to prove ourselves, and they were open to give you that. It really shows that it's a good thing, those people showed that level of empathy towards you and your situation, and they understood it, and they took the time to listen and obviously give you a chance, and then obviously you've delivered on your promise as well. So that's made them feel a lot, maybe 10 times, 20 times. Obviously, I don't know, I can't speak for them, but they're happy that they took the chance and invested in you at that time. So that's really, really inspiring, bro. And I'm glad to hear that worked out for you in the end. And I guess for the go on. Yeah, no, go on.
Yeah, I was gonna say what I like about the whole situation is, since I lived up to the end of my bargain, hopefully they'll be more inclined to do the same for other people in my position later on. You know what I mean? Just keep spreading that positivity and all of that. So yeah, shout out to them.
Exactly, bro. Exactly. And I think also just to add on to what you said, like for the listeners who don't know, George has mentioned the word called chuffed. So in that slang from our native Zimbabwe, I think from Cow College maybe, but it basically means excited. So if you hear any other slang terms, don't worry, I will add in a explanation to them as the podcast recording and episode goes along. So that's I just wanted to add that on to what you said. So moving on, bro, and encompassing what you've gone through, obviously the journey, obviously the med school, and obviously the journey of actually going from Zimbabwe all the way to China as well. Can you tell our listeners, how you've overcome some of the challenges you've faced, during this time? And I'm pretty sure you've probably faced a number of them, and how you overcame them.
I mean, the thing is that there's a wide range of challenges that you have to try and overcome. I'll just give, for example, when you get here and then you don't speak the language, right? You find that, sorry, you have a hard time even ordering food in a restaurant, for example. I know of a couple of my friends who had to walk around with pens and pencils and then try to draw like a chicken and show it to the waitress, hoping that she would understand that they're trying to draw a chicken, things like that. So it's hard, yes, but at the end of it all, you just have to persevere. Because when you are applying and then you are getting onto the plane and coming here, you probably didn't know it would be that bad when you landed. But then at the same time, you just have to adapt. You know what I mean? There's no point trying to quit or turning back. And as for me personally, I consider myself to be an optimist. Like I always try to see the brighter side, the bigger picture, as some would say. So whenever I had such challenges, I would always try and find ways around it. How can I improve, or what can I do better next time? That sort of thing. And then when it would be so overwhelming, just pray, and also hope for the best. Just ask for guidance and that sort of thing. So, and that has been working well for me. So I don't think that's going to be changing anytime soon. Any challenge I face is still gonna be the same, method I'm gonna use. It's a tried and tested method. So yeah, I'm pretty confident.
Absolutely, bro. And I love how you've built your confidence up, like the fact that you've had a positive and optimistic outlook on situations, and you've put in the work, you've persevered, you've stayed resilient, you never gave up on what you're working on, and in those situations you adapt to the environment and obviously the change of circumstances as well. And I think it's quite notable, like the fact that some people attempted to use, they try to draw diagrams to try and build the bridge, obviously the gap in languages and understanding. But I mean, I think in some cases, some people may find that like funny, but at the same time, I think you can commend the people who tried that, because, they're trying to bridge a gap.
Think out of the box, you see.
Yeah, yeah, thinking outside the box, and they're trying to build some sort of understanding between like themselves and obviously. So it is interesting, but like I think thank you for sharing that, because that's the first time I've heard somebody having to draw a diagram and say this is what I want.
This is what I want. Yeah, it actually happened. So you just have to try it, honestly.
Yeah, you're gonna say, yeah.
I'm just saying, like, you have to try anything at your disposal, try and make it work to your advantage. Really, you never know. You might just get a breakthrough. And they did get a breakthrough. They got their chicken, by the way. So you see, that was genius. That was genius.
Oh, yeah. That's a brilliant story, man. That's a brilliant story. And how it's all ended as well. Like this, it may have sounded funny in the beginning, but at least, they got what they wanted. So and I guess that was an opening. That was the first ever experience. And obviously, with time, they got better and learned Chinese. And I'm pretty sure you are fluent as well in Chinese to a stage where you're comfortable with, aren't you?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm very comfortable. Move about and just get things done. So at least you see perseverance, perseverance. You just have to keep at it. But for you, how about your end? Which challenges did you face? For example, like when you first got to the UK.
Right. So I think from my perspective, when I first arrived in the UK, it was I think the infrastructure, right? Because in Zimbabwe, we know about the trains and stuff, but it wasn't really like 100%. Whereas in the UK, like public transport has received a lot of investment, like a large majority of the population use it. Understanding prices, like I thought when I would spend £20 on a black cab, I thought that was normal. But when I spoke with other people who grew up here, they were saying, "Oh, no, no, that's actually the quickest way to lose money." If you get on a black cab, because obviously they charge per minute. Yeah, so whereas you can pay a fixed price for a journey. And I think as well, like the differences in culture, because like the UK culture, it's diverse. It incorporates other cultures into it, right? But at the same time, because I'm coming from Zim, we learned and did the things in a certain way, and in the UK, it's completely different. So it's two different worlds. So adapting to that and learning how things work, like how universities worked, the process of ordering stuff online. I think in Zim, that wasn't like an open avenue and stuff, but we took the time to learn that. I think as well, like taking the time to learn other people's cultures and upbringings as well, because we learned a certain way, so it was quite interesting learning what other people grew up with. So I think I went about it in a way that I tried to make as many friends as possible with people who were from multiple countries, so at least you could learn that person, their upbringing, the culture, and obviously you're adapting that into yourself, into your own culture as well, because you're learning what works and what doesn't work, what you can and cannot do. So at least you're creating respectable boundaries between yourself and other people, because last thing you want to do is obviously is cross somebody's boundaries and offend them. Yeah. So I think for me, from that part, yeah.
No, it's good what you're saying about learning about other people's cultures and background and whatnot. Because to be fair, before I left Zim, the view of the world I had at that time and the view I have now are totally different. You get me? Because now I've interacted with way too many people from various backgrounds. It's amazing. Like you start to understand why other people, do things the way they do things and or how they live their lives, things which we back home would probably have been told all along, like, oh, that's not acceptable, blah, 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 it's not our culture, that sort of thing. And then already there's that prejudice, before you meet, people from elsewhere. But then now when you meet them and then you start to actually get to know them, then you get a better understanding and you be like, it's not actually as bad as I've been made to believe before. You know what I mean? So traveling is actually very very important. So that people don't remain close-minded. Just be open to different cultures of or beliefs or whatever it is, than what you are normally accustomed to.
Exactly, man, and I can relate to you on that. Like, I think the first time I moved into like a house where I was staying, like when I was starting my uni course, my house was, I think one of them I'm still very good friends with, or two of them are still very good friends with. But my household, I was from Zimbabwe, one guy was from Hong Kong, another guy was from the UAE, and then the last guy was from India. So all of them, obviously, they're all from different parts of the world, right? All from different parts of the world. And I think what I really liked about staying with them was obviously we worked, we took the time to understand each other's backgrounds. We talked about like what we liked about our countries, and then we found ways of making that work with us as we live together. Because like that's the best way to go about it, finding ways you can build onto what other person
finding common ground.
Yeah, finding common ground, building up. You might know this term from FIFA, but that team chemistry needs to be up there for the team to play really really well. So we took the time to understand each other, and we ended up being close friends as well as a result. So I'm grateful for that experience because actually it opened my mind up significantly after that.
Yeah, I hear you.
So with that, right, bro, with what you've said, with the perseverance and, the adapting to the different situations, and I want to get your take on this. What do you think, in all the things we've gone through, right? What do you think is the most valuable thing about failure?
Listen, I hate failure. I don't even like failure. So you know the cliche about saying how failure is you're supposed to fail and then that way you learn from your mistakes, something like that. Personally, I hate failure, right? So I try to plan my moves as much as possible, to the T so that I don't actually end up failing. But obviously, we all have to fail at some point, right? There's usually no fail proof plan. Going back to what I said earlier about me being an optimist, when that moment does come, I just try to, see the positives. In as much as I hate the failure, I try just to see the positives. What can I learn from it? Now I know what not to do next time, basically. Even though I've tried so hard to, to be in that position, right? And I just try not to let it dwell on my mind for a long time. Okay, it didn't work out. All right, move on. Okay. But at the back of my mind, I already know, okay, this time I'm not supposed to do this. So that will probably be, in my opinion, in my experience, that will probably be the most valuable thing about it is that I now know what not to do, even though I'll be kicking myself. I don't know if it happens to you, but that's how I normally deal with it.
So yeah, and to add on to what you said, yes, you're right, man. It's one of those. It's an annoying feeling when things don't work out the way we wanted them to work out initially. But I like how you said, you've taken the time to acknowledge the fact that it's happened, and now you're thinking, what can I do, or what are the positives of the setback that I've gone through, and what I can take forward from it to make sure that it doesn't happen again. So yeah, once you do it in that way, you're building up your ability to always look for new innovative ways to. So you're always problem solving. So if you face a problem, you're always looking for a solution. And then if that doesn't work, as they say, you're moving on to the next one. You're forever looking for the next best way to overcome what you're working on. And then that gives you a sense of when you're working on things that you're looking to introduce, you now thought of multiple ways of introducing it. And then it's a case of trial and error and seeing which one works. So that's really, really important because it's adding into your ability to be productive and all that. So building on from that question as well, bro. Like with all the trials and tribulations, it's a roller coaster of emotions because we've got ups and we have our downs. But I want to get your take on this. But what would you say excites you about the future going forward?
See, so recently I've been having conversations with various other young people, from, different fields. It hasn't generally been like medically related, but we've sort of come to a consensus that no one can help us, or we can't really wait for the older generation to like bail us out or whatever. So now we have to, as young people, we need to take charge of our own futures. So plans are being laid out about even having joint ventures, for example, in the future, so that we all working together, building each other up, that sort of thing. And from those conversations, it's really exciting to envision what may be achieved later on in life. And I just hope that all of us, just get to see it through, and then we'll all just be successful. Because, like I said, we as young people just have to take charge of our own destinies. Not keep waiting on handouts or different people to come and save us. Nah, it's time that we alone take charge. That's for my future. I want to hear about yours. What's exciting?
Right. So, right. So I'll answer that. But like just to comment on what you said, that's a very, very, very powerful thing to look at because, like you said, start building a reliance in ourselves and that independence that we can be able to support ourselves and go into multiple ventures. That's an exciting thing, like being able to go into multiple different avenues and work on those and, build and succeed together and build each other up. That's really, really important. There's that sense of collaboration, and that synergy is really, really powerful. So I'd say from my perspective, what excites me about the future going forward, there's a number of things, right? So there's going to be obviously the impact of technology on what we're doing, how technology is going to benefit our lives, how it's going to make things easier to do things. Because obviously we've seen with small things like Alexa, Google Box, like you can plug that in, and if you've got smart devices around the house, you can essentially tell Alexa to essentially manage those devices for you. And it helps, like it makes things easier, because you can be, let's say you could be working on, like, you could be making a painting, and you could be saying, okay, Alexa, turn microwave on for this, or defrost this part of the fridge because you want to cook and stuff like that. So you're thinking ahead, like, okay, I want to defrost, I want to have some chicken stew later, and Alexa's going to tell the fridge to do that, or it's going to tell you to dim the lights, stuff like that. Or even with the introduction of AI, and how that can make things easy in terms of finding information, assisting like customers with queries and stuff. That's going to be very, very interesting how that gets implemented. And also the idea of autonomous cars and stuff. Another thing I'd say excites me about the future, obviously, like it's me, like my ventures going into obviously digital content. About my podcast now, looking at like hopefully setting up a Twitch and a YouTube channel as well. So to have that as a side venture on top of like me working as a, hopefully, touchwood, as a project engineer somewhere, building that up and making sure that I've got two solid platforms that will enable me to do a lot more with my time. I will actually create, like, basically working on things that create more time for me to spend with loved ones and all that stuff. So that's what I'm also looking at as well. That's what I'm excited about. And also, potentially getting into a venture with you, bro, because, working on, I've got this mindset of I want to be a venture capitalist as well. So investing in upcoming startups, so, and seeing their growth all the way from startup all the way through to service where they're operating now. So that's going to be really, really exciting, and obviously we're going to find ways of making that work. So for me, that, I think that's from, well, I think there's also like the fact that potentially become a mentor to young people in the future as well. Like I've always wanted to be somebody who gives back, so I was thinking about giving back and obviously teaching what I've learned to the younger generation, and them taking that on and obviously applying it for themselves, and them seeing the results of that. What empowers me as well to always, like, that's another thing that excites me. I think I could probably go on for ages, but like I also do want to, touch wood, finish off my flying, get back into flying a lot more, and use that to support myself, to support friends and family and other ventures that are interlinked. So whether that can be interlinked into like the digital content I'll be looking at and all that stuff. But yeah, that's me. That's from my perspective, bro.
No, that's exciting, yeah. That's exciting.
Right, so on that note, bro, we'll move on to the next question, right? And then this one's going to bring back some fond memories, if you remember, of prep and all that stuff. But what would you say, right, helps you stay focused and productive when you're completing activities and tasks?
I guess for me, it's because I just want to be done. Remember, I said like I'll try to plan everything, right? And once I have a plan, it's actually easier for me to just try and follow it through. If obviously sometimes it takes a lot of personal motivation, So even if it means I have to go and talk to myself in the mirror and convince myself that, yeah, you can do this, that sort of thing. I'll just have to do whatever it takes. And then somewhere along the line, I'll just find out like, oh, I'm done already. You know what I mean? So you just have to have that personal drive to be able to see things through that set aside for yourself to do. So once I have that, I think I have quite a high completion rate. Yeah.
Exactly, bro. And I like how it gives you a sense of direction and focus as well when you've got plan and you've got a list of things that you're looking to complete. And obviously you can visually see what you need to get done as well. And then that helps you stay on track. And, I'm pretty sure at times, like some tasks may be too big. So, you tend to break them down, make them manageable as well. So not to overload yourself, but that's always incorporated into the plan. So I like that, because of you giving yourself the opportunity to look at what you want to achieve, like from a big perspective, right? And you're looking at every step that you have to take to complete it, to reach the end as well. And it gives you a chance to accommodate or adapt to changes in scenarios should anything happen and change. So on that, I think you may have alluded to this earlier when at the beginning of the podcast, but could you tell our listeners, like in periods of stress, like what you do to de-stress and help you relax?
Oh yeah, so like you said, I basically touched on it before. Like I'll know, yes, it's a stressful situation, but at the end of the day, like I said, I'm still an optimist. I'm still trying to find, some loopholes within that stressor so that I can, wipe it out, that type of thing. So for me, it's really a matter of staying positive and trying to find alternatives to whatever problems I may be facing at the time. I don't really like to dwell much on the stresses, of course. That would just end up tiring me, and then now I won't be as productive in finding solutions to whatever problem I'm facing. So it's one of those things which I'll try to keep at the back of my mind. I'm not saying I'm completely shutting it off because I'll be lying to you. I will know it's there, but then I'm not letting it control me. You get me? I'm just trying to find a solution to it, even though I know it's there, and and I won't really be at ease until I find a way, and I usually do. So I'm just happy about that.
Exactly, bro. And touching back on that resilience piece as well, right? So you're keeping yourself, you're not walking away, you're keeping yourself focused on that task. And you're looking at the positives, like, at the end of it, this will be the result of it. And even if it takes longer than normal and you require like a break or a distraction, you're gonna come back to it and obviously complete it as well. So that's really, really encouraging.
Yeah, and another thing is personally, whenever I have such stress, right? It's also good to be real with yourself. There's no point lying to yourself. If you're gonna be honest with anyone, at least be brutally honest with yourself. If you have to talk to yourself, tell yourself the situation as it is. No filter, and then that way it's already half solved. For me at least, I know if I'm now brutally honest with myself, I know I'm getting somewhere. I don't have to be saying it out loud, but then conversations within my head, I'm already, I've told myself what the problem is, what the reality is, and then now how can we move on? What can we do? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is how do you handle your own stress though?
Right. So for me, well, I think I'll probably I'll comment on what you said before, but like it's important in that first step. The first step, obviously, like to de-stressing and overcoming anything is like that acknowledgement and telling yourself the truth. Obviously, no filter, right? And then that helps you in the sense of you start building upon you start looking at alternatives and looking at things that you could do to improve the current circumstance and also de-stress you as well. But from my perspective, bro, like in terms of what I do to distress myself, I tend to take a step back and distract myself from, let's say, whatever that was causing me stress. Let's say if it's job hunting, a lot of people know how stressful that can be. So, taking a step back and taking a break, going outside, taking in nature, like nowadays, like go cycling and or meeting up with a friend and just chilling outdoors and just talk. And not even talking about like the problems that we're facing, but talking about other things as well on top of that. So you're getting a sense of you're interacting with people, and you're also like taking a break mentally from what was causing you stress in the first place. Subconsciously, obviously, that's also help. Like subconsciously, your brain is working to think of solutions to that particular problem that you were facing to begin with. Another thing I'd like to do is, I think, talking to people is another, because when, let's say, if me and you were to talk and I was to present you like with the challenges I'm facing, I would enjoy that conversation because talking to you, you offer a fresh pair of eyes and a fresh mind to whatever challenges I'm facing. So your perspective or viewpoint of what I'm going through is obviously it's completely neutral, and most likely I'm probably gonna, from what you say, you're gonna mention things that I would have thought of before. So there's a sense of education going into that because I'm learning from you and I'm learning a lot more about myself as well. So I think in those moments we can't forget like the occasional hopping on PS or playing FIFA or something like that as a way of distressing.
I was about to say the same thing. I was about to say the same thing. Like, FIFA helps. FIFA helps as well. And PUBG. I've been playing PUBG.
So you would be exceptionally good at Fortnite as well, because obviously it's more or less like along the same lines.
So more or less the same thing. Yeah. I've been seeing videos of Fortnite, but I haven't played it yet.
Ah, fair enough, man. I think for me, if I'm being honest as well, like I haven't played those kind of games in a while, if I'm being honest, because I think the last time I ever played games like that, like PS4, PC, or anything, was 2017. Yeah, I know it's a long time, right? But I think recently, like, I jump into, you probably know this already, but like Football Manager, it's always been a go-to for me. Like, and it helps as well because, it helps you, you're going into another world and you're managing a team that has its own unique,
Messi.
oh, Messi, ah. But yeah, but you're saying?
No, I was saying a team with Messi. That would be the perfect role.
Team with Messi is easy, man. I think for me, like I've grown past like using like the big teams. Whenever I play Football Manager now, I start unemployed and I apply to all these leagues, so all across the world. I apply and see which ones take me on, and then the ones that sign me. Obviously, I've got the ambition from getting them in the lowest league that they are to the top league, and then like competing for the Club World Cup, etc., etc. So that's the journey that I've been on with Football Manager since we finished high school. I like starting the game unemployed because that's a fresh challenge, isn't it? And it's a reality of like you're looking for work and like you get rejected and then you get called up for some opportunities, and it's about just keeping those applications going, and whoever turns you down, that's okay, because there's always going to be somebody else who believes in what you're doing and they'll invest in you as well. So a hidden message in there for you listeners as well there.
Keep going. You just have to keep going.
Ah, exactly, man. That is a powerful message in there. Like, just go keep trying, go keep pushing, even if things are not as we want them to be. It's about us consistently staying focused, being persevering, being resistant to letting it consume us, and always looking for the best, looking for a solution to what's challenging us.
Yeah, most def.
So we'll move on to the next question, and I think this question will really excite you because it gives you a sense of reflection as well. But what would you say are your strongest qualities, right? And which one of these qualities would you love to teach somebody who's interested in learning from you?
I don't know if it's something that you can actually teach someone, but I consider myself a very patient person. I don't know if you can teach someone patience. Maybe if they're just, I don't know, watching you or how you do things, I suppose. But it's not something that will go and be like, yo, come here, I'm gonna teach you patience. You know what I mean? And same with just being an optimist, you know. We know people are either optimists or pessimists, but even though I do believe people can change their mindsets, right? It's not one thing that I feel like you can just teach someone. It's something they will just have to pick up on from you, I suppose. So probably the best way for them to learn that, or pick it up, is maybe by spending enough time with the person. That's the only way I see it. And same thing with resilience. A lot of Zimbabweans I know are quite resilient. Like wherever you drop them, whichever country you put them in, I know they will thrive. So that's something that I feel is also within my DNA. Like you can throw me anywhere and shove all these different challenges in my face, but somewhere, somehow, eventually, I know I will just overcome. You know what I mean? Because nothing is new under the sun. Someone has also faced the same problems before, and best believe there's more people who overcame those struggles than there are who didn't. Right? So that's one of the things which keep me going, knowing that whatever it is I'm facing, someone else has been through it, someone else has overcome it, and that's just something if I could, I would teach someone, that.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. Obviously, shout out to everyone, all the Zimbabweans who are listening to this podcast, wherever you are. We are with you, and it's that element. I think the resilience of grateful to be and proudly Zimbabwean as well. Like with that resilience, put us anywhere, and we'll find a way to make it work, and we'll tailor it to suit our needs and our desires as well, man. So I think, and also as well, like I like how you mentioned patience because, like you said, I don't think a lot of the things that I in situations like that, right? Or there's no way we're gonna go to a whiteboard and we're gonna say, okay, we're gonna write down the word patience and go be like, okay, I'm gonna teach you patience. It's something that's obviously that's learned. Yeah, you're saying.
Yeah, I was agreeing. I was saying it doesn't work like that. You can't just go in and say, "Oh, today we're going to learn patience." No.
Exactly. So I guess the best way of learning it obviously is obviously through observation and watching somebody else and how they go about things, and how they take their time with making decisions on certain things. And obviously that's in certain situations that would be probably the best way for you to teach somebody as well, because you're like, okay, this is what I normally do when I do this. I like to take my time and I like to look at these steps, and then these steps help me make this decision, and ultimately it gives me the opportunity to take in everything that I've learned, everything that's available to me. So in the scenario, what are the factors and the best way of making decisions based on those factors? So I'd say, things like patience, resilience, and it's built in obviously through observation, and obviously also through encouragement as well, like encouraging the person to take their time with making decisions, going at a pace that's comfortable for them, right? And also like not giving up on what they were working on to begin with. So they shouldn't really like stop. We should always keep trying. So it's just building that into the mindset of people. So obviously thank you for mentioning that. And on top of it, would you say obviously in the current stage, like is there anything new you're looking to learn, whether it's a skill or something that you want to learn obviously going forward?
I need to learn to swim. Yeah, I need to learn to swim because your boy might just go on the amazing race. A few years from now, you never know. You never know. Yeah, and I've seen they do a lot of swimming there. So I need to learn how to swim. That's one thing I regret all the lessons I had in junior school, which I used to bunk. But I guess it's never too late. That's one thing I'm gonna try to do.
Of course, man. Never too late to learn how to swim, bro. And definitely would like to see you on the Amazing Race, man, and like competing in triathlons and decathlons, swimming in the ocean and stuff. Like, it'll be interesting, man.
Oh yeah, listen. Once I learn how to swim, it's over for you guys. It's over for everyone. It's over. I'm trying to break the cliche. Us black people don't swim. Yeah, I need to do my part. I need to start.
Exactly, man. Exactly, man. I appreciate that. I think the key thing as well, from what you said, is obviously you've acknowledged something that you don't have and you want to learn it. And once you learn it, you want to use it to better yourself and also to encourage others to use that as well. And so, some hidden gems in there for you. George just dropping the gems, man. You're on fire today, bro.
Bro, they don't even know. They don't even know.
Well, now they do because they've literally heard you. They've literally heard you say it.
Yeah, now they do.
So, with that, in closing, what inspiring words would you like to tell everyone who's listened in on your episode today, who's looking to improve themselves?
I guess what I would say is there is no formula for this life thing, right? And the thing is, what I'm seeing from social media is it's putting a lot of pressure on us as people, to try and be like the next person, whether it's they're looking successful or I don't know what they're eating, whatever, anything. There's just that added pressure. But the thing is, we don't know what happens behind the scenes. We don't know what they've done to get where they are. And all I'm trying to say is, you just do you. Don't feel pressured to be like the next person because you yourself, you are very unique. Right? There's probably a lot of untapped potential that you have. It's just, spend some time with yourself, get to know yourself, what you like, what you don't like. Try to, gain new skills. You get me? Just don't try to be like the very next person because you're totally different. You're one in, I don't know, 7 billion. I don't know what the population is now. So just do your own thing at your own pace. Don't feel rushed, right? Just be patient with yourself. Set your own tone, for this life thing because the moment you try to just be like the next person, you've already lost yourself, right? And you'll never know your full potential. It's okay. I'm not saying it's not okay to get inspiration from other people. By all means, you get inspiration. We all are inspired by different people for different reasons. Get inspired, but then use that inspiration to find your own true self, And by you being yourself, who knows how many people are also looking up to you without you even knowing. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Wow, those are some solid words, man. And, I can definitely relate to that. And it's very, very important. We're all running our own unique race. So we have to run it at a pace comfortable for ourselves and, make the most, use that inspiration to do what we want to do. And, ultimately, like get inspired or inspire others to do the same thing. But make sure that we never compare ourselves to others because obviously, like you said, at that point you've lost already. So very, 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 very powerful words that you've shared with us, George, and thank you for sharing them.
No problem, my G. Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome, man. Well, that's all for today's episode of the P.O.T.N podcast. We've now reached the end of the show. Thank you all for listening in and reaching the end of the show. I'd like to thank my boy and my bro and George for coming onto the show. George, thank you for joining and sharing your wisdom, man.
Thank you're too kind. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, man. And
You should make sure you invite me next time, okay? If you don't, I'll hunt you down. Yes.
We'll definitely invite you back for another 2-3 episodes or more on the P.O.T.N podcast. I look forward to welcoming you back onto the podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Please leave a like and a comment. It'll help the algorithm make my podcast more accessible to current listeners and future listeners as well. Thank you all for listening. Till next time, be well and take care.
I had to make a comeback sooner or later, right? Look at your man at work. Look at me. Yeah, I had to put the fam first. Everything is we. Yeah, I always had the drive. I just had to get the keys. We are not the same, man. I'm a different breed. Cause now we on the bigger things. Talking double XL. Still the realest man that I know. Long as I exhale. Low key. You can only find me in the DM every day. Carpe diem. Going hard until the AM. Can't you see I'm on my Wu-Tang? Gotta get that cream. Nah, this is not a you thing. Everything is we. Had to do it with the team. With my niggas from the jump. Yeah, we took the lead. Had to let that marinate. Been 100 weeks. 100 weeks. 100 weeks. I ain't been asleep. Talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. Check the damn receipts. From my dogs, cut the leash. Let my niggas eat. Whole squad, we a niche. We a different breed.
Music by Zeke.